and welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be different, unlike any other video that I've ever done in my channel so far, because it talks about books. I have about 5 books that I really want to talk about. The first one is a classic by Charles Dickens, and it's Great Expectations. Great Expectations is arguably one of the best books in terms of classics, and also one of the best books that Charles Dickens has ever written. It talks about a little boy, Pip, who visits an old lady with her beautiful grandchild, who ends up meeting like 2 runaway prisoners who end up being very important to his life as a grown-up. And he also used to live with his sister, his married sister, so basically his sister and his brother-in-law. I don't want to spoil the plot for anyone who is interested in reading this. All I have to say to you is that you have to absolutely read it. If you are interested in reading books and you're interested in classics, I just think that you can't go wrong with a Charles Dickens, especially Great Expectations, because it's just an absolute beautiful book. It's probably the best written book in the history of classics. Next would be The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum, and it's also an absolute must-read. This book is probably known as a children's book, but in my opinion it's much more than that, because it addresses a lot of philosophical questions, like what's more important than what, mind, like thinking versus feelings, what do you think would the answer be, what makes a person brave versus a coward, what makes a home, what makes a magician all the more mighty. It's just very deep, very deep, and it has a lot of metaphors in it. It's probably one of the easiest to read that you'll ever read in terms of language, in terms of like basic plot, but there's much more to it, much more to it. I just can go on and on about this book because I just feel so passionate about it, but I won't, and I will move on to the next book, which is Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. This is an LGBT book, and it's one of the best LGBT books ever. Seriously. It talks about David, who would like to think of himself as a conventional American, but he's much more than that. Basically, David is a man who is in a relationship with a woman, Hella. He goes on a trip with her to Europe. He asks her to marry him, and she tells him, I have to think. I'm gonna go to Spain all by myself just to think. And while she's gone, he meets a man, Giovanni, and they have an affair, and the story really starts to be more interesting from the time that Hella leaves him until the very end. It's beautiful. It's written in a very poetic way. It's just so freaking beautiful, and I think that you have to read this. I'm going to read part of this book because I just think that it's written in the most beautiful way. Okay, so let's start by reading this part because it's so beautiful. Perhaps everybody has a Garden of Eden. I don't know. But they have scarcely seen their garden before they see the flaming sword. Then, perhaps life only offers the choice of remembering the garden or forgetting it. Either or, it takes strength to remember. It takes another kind of strength to forget. It takes a hero to do both. People who remember court madness through pain, the pain of the perpetually recurring death of their innocence. People who forget court another kind of madness, the madness of the denial of pain and the hatred of innocence. And the world is mostly divided between madmen who remember and madmen who forget. Heroes are rare. Isn't this absolutely beautiful? I think it is. Moving on to the 4th book, we have Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. That is more of a fantasy than an actual, like, real life sort of fiction book, but it's freaking awesome. It talks about Hilsham, which is a school that teaches like clones of actual people in real life, and they also learn that by the end of their life, the mission basically and the purpose of their life is to live a healthy life so they can provide the people in the normal world or the actual world with healthy organs if they end up needing it. So it talks about three friends who go to that school and who grow up and become donors and take caretakers or something. It's freaking beautiful. There is a movie for it. It's heartbreaking and beautiful at the same time. I cannot describe to you how beautiful this actually is. It's so freaking beautiful. The book is written intellectually, freakingly, beautifully. I can't have enough words, enough positive words to describe to you how I feel about this book. It's so freaking beautiful. I have 3 books by Kazuo Ishiguro. He is freaking talented. This man knows what he is writing. He is just so freaking talented. And this book is beautiful, and there is a movie of it. It has, what's his name? Andrew Garfield? Keira Knightley, and I keep on forgetting her name. I adore her. Mulligan. Carey Mulligan? Yeah, Carey Mulligan. That's the one. And the last book that I have to share with you is The Cider House Rules by John Irving. John Irving is an absolute gem. He is a fabulous writer. I have about 12 books by him, I think. This is one of them. This is one of the best ones of them. It talks about an orphanage, arguably the warmest orphanage that you can probably think of, which might not be as realistic as you would think, because when you think of orphanages, you don't think of an actual warm, loving one. But the one that is in this book is just so freaking warm and beautiful. It talks about an orphanage with like a gynecologist slash manager, Dr. Larch, and 2 nurses, Nurse Edna and Nurse Angela, and the kids. There's this one boy, his name is Homer Wells, and he never actually gets adopted by people who are good enough to adopt children. So he always comes back to the orphanage. He grows up there, and he learns how to perform adoptions and perform actual labors and things like that. But he actually never goes to school. He never goes to university. He gets his education from the doctor there, and back then giving abortions wasn't legal, which is like one of the arguments in these books. How kind of ethical and moral is it to perform abortions? It's just such a beautiful, beautiful book. So eventually, 2 young people come and take Homer out. While he's an actual adult back then, he works for them and he experiences life as it should be experienced. He experiences love, heartbreak. He experiences betrayal, to say it in a way that might be acceptable and might not be acceptable. It's just so beautiful. It's written, again, poetically. I can't express to you how freaking awesome John Irving's writing is. It's just so beautiful. And yeah, these are the 5 books that I had to share with you today. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the very next video. If you'd like to see more book-related videos by me, definitely tell me, and I'll make sure to bring them out to you more often. Oh, and actually there is a movie that is called The Cider House Rules that is pretty much the same as the book. It's played by Tobey Maguire, who I love, Charlize Theron, Michael Caine or something, and more fabulous actors and actresses that I think is just a must-watch for everyone. So yeah, feel free to watch The Cider House Rules, Never Let Me Go, and feel free to read all of the books, and including Never Let Me Go and The Cider House Rules, obviously, because I just think they are must-reads. And if you have any book that you think is an absolute must-read for me, definitely leave it in the comments bar down below, and I'll make sure to read it and to check it out. And thank you all for watching. I hope to see you in the very next video. Bye.